Okay folks, found this and I cleaned it up, ready to go, and hopefully it'll come up a treat. Let's see what this is. I don't drink this kind of drink. It's not my cup of tea, folks, so to speak. But basically, let's see if I can make it come up a treat. Would have been a good subject for Australia Day. And this, I just hit that accidentally. This stupid user interface can be a pain. But this would have been a good Australia Day piece. Okay, let's see what we've got here. We have here a big cold can, Vic Bitter, Victoria Bitter, big cold can, same shit on each side. Yeah, okay, we're going to make this into something interesting, folks. This big cold Vic Bitter can. I don't drink alcohol, folks. That's what I was going to say. And that's come up looking really quite a treat, actually. It's really quite cool. Yeah, so this is something that, Australia Day. Australia Day is usually about getting smashed on alcohol and sitting around on your fucking floaty, doing a shit in your floaty if that's what it takes to get totally blotto off your fucking nut drunk. And basically, yeah, I just don't follow that kind of mentality in Australia Day. My desire is to redesign the photocopier and to own it as an Australian achievement, to have a company that's made it, that's totally 100% Australian owned. The product is Australian designed 100%, and the manufacturing is made in Australia. Again, 100% made in Australia. We're still going to have migrants, don't get me wrong. We're going to have skilled migrants who've been naturalised. I think that's the right term to becoming an Australian citizen. They can become an Australian citizen and work in a factory that's first class, that's nothing like that shit like Foxconn or Flexatronics, or Flex as it's called now. But basically those factories are really polluting and really nasty sweatshops to make things, and really it's not acceptable, folks, to subject humans to such arduous working conditions and hours and ripping the planet apart, making the planet uninhabitable, because the electronics industry as a whole is notorious for pollution and waste, and we just can't have that, folks, much longer. We can't keep ruining our planet and expecting to get away with it. Even this fucking phone would have been made in unsustainable situations. This Samsung phone, this photocopier, I don't know, my desktop as well. Everything is ruined by these rich people who care only about money, who just want to make money out of everything and anything, and they don't seem to care about anything but their revenue streams. And I really find that annoying, and really, it's not acceptable, folks. It's not acceptable. But what can we do? We need our gadgets. We need our electronics. The world has become dependent on these devices and these equipments, and it's become really bad. You can't decide. My Auntie Tanny and my Auntie Kay really have always hated technology, if I remember correctly, and they try to avoid it. I was given a landline for my Auntie Kay because obviously she doesn't have a mobile, and basically, yes, they just don't like technology. They're one of those low-tech people, and I can understand because it is polluting, and they love nature. I mean, everyone's entitled to. The thing is, everywhere you go, you ask for an email address. You demanded an email address. You get told you have to supply an email address or a mobile phone number, and you just can't run away from this technology. You can't run away from it, folks. It's there or everywhere, always on, and you just can't get away from it. So, I'm going to move it up. So yeah, it's really horrible world we live in, and electronics are mainly there to make money for the rich few. The ones like Tim Cook, who's a fucking asshole, and he gets his phones manufactured by an asshole company called Foxconn. There's not going to be any of that shit. I'm going to try and make sure that, I don't know how I'm going to sidestep it, because these big companies, that's just the photocopier wearing out, and basically these companies, you just can't avoid them. You know, it's become a part of the industry that you get your stuff manufactured by the likes of Foxconn, or, you know, where do you get your components from? You know, that's the problem, and I don't want to be a part of the problem. I want to be a part of the solution. I want to make my photocopiers 100% made in Australia. No fucking Foxconn. We're not involving them. We don't want anything to do with those bitches. They're sluts who just love the money and want to ruin the planet all for the sake of profit. No, I refuse. I don't know how I'm going to sidestep it, because it might be that some electronic components like silicon chips and that, where do you get them? How can you make them from scratch? It's not like you can get a CNC machine and make it. That's for mechanical things, and if I'm correct. But basically you can't just make these parts yourself, so you need to get them from somewhere. And how do you do that when the whole industry is dominated by the likes of Foxconn and other crappy industrial giants who just don't care about anything but their own fucking money? How do you do it, folks? How do you get around this culture? How do we change the world? How do we make the world a cleaner, greener and happier place? How do we put Australia on the map to spearhead this? You know, I want to make the world a better place. I'm passionate about photocopiers. I want my passion to show in my workmanship. You know, if I had a choice, folks, my goal is to make sure that every part of this new generation of photocopiers is made here in the factory. I don't know how I'm going to achieve making silicon chips in our factory to our own specifications. I don't know whether maybe there are patents and intellectual property that I can't use because it's all being patented by all these companies like fucking Foxconn. I don't want anything to do with Foxconn. I want nothing to do with Flex. None of those big offshore companies that make most of our electronics. I don't want anything to do with those bitches if I can avoid it. If I can fucking avoid it. You know, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm going to trust that it will, and I'm determined. You know, I want to make the world a better place. I want our photocopiers to be user-friendly, a pleasure to use, the hardware to last at least 60 years or thereabouts, and not to fucking waste things. I really want to make the world a better place. I want my passion for photocopiers to speak louder than words, to make people happy, and make sure the factory workers are happy and comfortable and safe in their work environment, that they're all passionate about photocopiers. We hire the best toner heads. Toner head is another word for photocopier nerd or geek. We need toner heads in the factory because it's the enthusiasm that's going to carry us through as a company. It's the enthusiasm and the energy that we have for our product. Not about, yes, and they're going to get paid a good wage. We're not going to fucking treat them like slaves, even if they are used to it, even if they used to work for Foxconn. We still want to treat them like we would treat the Australian-born contingent. So we've got to have an Australian attitude of a fair go, folks, a fair fucking go. And that's what we need. And that's come up looking really quite a treat. I think we can now call this demo quits.